All right, folks. Well, from the majestic shores of the North Saskatchewan River right here in scenic Prince Albert, Saskatchewan, this is your host, Jack Antonio, for Do You Know Jack, the podcast. And of course, on the line with me today is the man, the myth, the legend himself, none other than Teutonic metal master Udo Dirkschneider. How you doing, my friend?
Hello, yeah, I'm fine. Thank you very much. Everything so far in this situation, what we have right now, let's say I'm okay.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, now you're releasing basically a record in the middle of all this shit, man. I mean, like, I
Yeah,
guess you can still do the interviews, but how are things going out your way in the free world so far?
yeah, I mean, everything so far is going okay. Germany is fine, I mean, there are not so many infected people. Everything is going very easy at the moment in Germany.
Right.
Yeah, they was following really the regulations,
Yep.
and yeah. So, I mean, in some parts of the world are a little bit more difficult.
That's right. Well, now your album, We Are One, of course, I mentioned that off the top. I mean, it drops July 17th, Friday, July
Yes.
17th. Very, very unique spin on things, of course, because you've made what a lot of people would probably say is symphonic metal, but perhaps the title is a little bit liberal when it comes to describing that because, you've used a military wind ensemble this time, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was not planned, or I was not searching for a military orchestra. I mean, that was like a couple of years ago when I was doing recording the Steelhammer album.
Right.
So our producer, he was still at this time a member of a symphonic brass orchestra. So, and he had a show with them in a church, and I went there, of course, and said, "Yeah, come on, let's do it. See what they're doing." It was nearly Christmas. I was expecting Christmas songs, marching songs, whatever.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I was sitting there, and then they start playing Queen, Michael Jackson, ABBA
Yeah, yeah,
stuff, and I was like, "What?"
yeah.
And the sound was like, "That's it." That was really like the moment where I said, "Yes, this is the sound what I'm looking for." So, and yeah. And then we did a couple of shows together. The last one was in 2018, and after this show, yeah, we were sitting together and said, "Okay, we have to continue."
Right.
And then the idea came up, why we're not doing together an album, and yeah, here we go. And then we start songwriting, and then, okay, in the beginning, I was not really sure when they come up with some arrangements, but the first arrangement what we get for the songs that we compose, I mean, that was like, yes,
Yeah,
that fits, definitely fits.
yeah.
So, and also it was important that we was writing new songs, not using the old back catalog.
Indeed, yeah.
That that was very important.
Yeah. Well, now let's back this up a little bit. I mean, do you have a whole lot of experience listening and viewing military bands in Germany throughout your long career in music, Udo?
No, not really. I mean, that was just happened, with this I was not really looking. Okay, we have, let's say it in this way, we have a lot of brass orchestras in Germany, but they're playing Volksmusik like Bavarian
Yeah.
march music, for not other explain this, and this is definitely not the style what I'm looking for, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
And I was really surprised that a military brass orchestra is doing stuff like this, and that,
Yeah.
and that was the reason I was not. It was just happened that it is a military orchestra.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think the versatility of the orchestra, though, like the wind ensemble on this record, is maybe a little different than what an orchestra would have done. I think the wind ensemble swaggers a little bit more. They can swing a little bit more, and I'm wondering if that's because a lot of string players stereotypically don't grow up in a more pop orientated or rock orientated environment.
Yeah, I mean, this like the symphonic brass orchestra is a really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
There are no violins, and I mean, it fits perfectly together with the songs,
Yeah.
It's still heavy. It's still heavy. Of course, we have also some different stuff on there. For example, like Here We Go Again. It's more funky, some rap stuff in there, whatever.
Yeah.
And also we have a ballad there with Neon Diamonds. I sing it together with a female singer, and she has also one song she's singing alone that was really written for her and also for the orchestra. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different stuff on this album. The good thing about this album is, when I'm doing a normal, let's say, UDO album,
Right.
there is some limits. You cannot go too far.
Yeah.
And with this album, that was the point. Yeah, we were free. We can do whatever we want. We're
Yeah.
using saxophone. I don't know, a lot of stuff that you definitely never can use on an UDO album.
Yeah.
So, and that was also a thing, very interesting to do. See how far we can go,
Right.
and that, yeah, perfect. I mean, I'm really happy.
Yeah, well, now I think Guido Renner and Alexander Ruber, pardon my pronunciation, but I think these guys, they dip heavily into like a almost fantasy kind of Lord of the Rings sort of sound, but at the same time, there's a huge tip of the cap to Wagner, I would say, and maybe that goes to the heavy
Yeah.
use of brass.
Yeah, I mean, especially Guido Renner, he is a really metal fan.
Right.
He was also. I was a little bit surprised about the song "We Strike Back," a double bass song,
Yeah.
and I was like, "You really want to do that? Yeah, no problem. I can make an arrangement for that."
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that was very interesting. It's like. Yeah, the whole thing feels organic together. It's really that's what's like. The thing what I said before, when we get the first arrangement from them, it was like, yes, that's it. That's it. It fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
lucky.
Yeah, well, I think like a lot of symphonic metal, there's a lot of different ways it can go, right? I mean, like sometimes it seems like the symphony stuff is being added almost as an afterthought, and I'm sure there's a lot of metalheads maybe that would disagree, but like if you think of Metallica's S&M, for instance, it sounds like there's two separate entities playing at the same time, and then some of your standard maybe like Dutch symphonic metal bands, the strings are a part of it and their commentary, but everything seems so like square box. You know what I mean? This doesn't. This
Yeah,
album doesn't
okay.
sound like that.
No, definitely not. That was like, I mean, like what Metallica did was Scorpions. We had a band in Germany, it was called Rage.
Yeah.
What they're doing. Also Nightwish, it's
Right.
like also they are doing also a lot of stuff, but this is different,
Yeah.
This is different. Okay, Nightwish, they are not using old songs, but Scorpions or Metallica, they was using songs of the back catalog, and
Yeah.
put some orchestra on it,
Yeah.
But this a lot of people now. I mean, and I think they are right. Nobody did something like this. What we did with this album.
Yeah.
This is like new.
Yeah.
Maybe it's inspiration also for some bands. I don't know, but this is I was like, yeah, you're right. This is something new. I never heard something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now I just want to take this back a little bit a little ways too. I mean, now how closely did you work with Guido and Alexander in terms of the actual arrangements? Because everything seems so fluid, like and collaborative. At least it sounds that way.
Yeah, I mean, with all the songs, what we were choosing for this album, I mean, of course, in the beginning the guys was a little bit shy, They said, can we change that here and change that there? Yes, of course, We said that's what you are for, to do something, Yeah, and then they came up and said that was also very interesting for us how they're creating atmospheres,
Yeah.
Then they said, yeah, can you change the harmony here? And can you do this a little bit here? And also from our side, then we're getting more and more into that, And
Yeah.
then we said, yeah, maybe we we need there a little bit more trumpet, maybe a little bit more percussion here, and stuff that was really then in the end really goes together, you know. And I mean, it was not a quick thing, you know. I mean, everything not constantly, but I mean, it was nearly 1 year to work on all that stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And so the recording, then the final recording was, in a way, you can say, very quick. There was recording the whole thing in, I think, 7 or 8 days, and we are also was in a way very quick with when everything was finally done. We was also very quick with recording, you know, with everything. I mean, if you are working for nearly 1 year on all the songs, then it's just like, okay, here we go.
Right.
And yeah. And in the end, I mean, there was a lot of people working with this. You know, we had also a guy for the orchestra. He's the main sound guy of the opera from Cologne.
Wow.
And he knew the orchestra. And they said, here, you have with this thing, you have to record everything different, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, normally they did already some CDs, the orchestra, but, you know, they have a huge rehearsal room with everything, what you can imagine, the equipment-wise. And when they put just some microphones in there and just did with the whole orchestra together, and this was not possible with this thing, you know.
Right.
That was like they have to do some parts separately, like the percussion.
Sure.
Then we need the trumpets and blah blah blah, you know, so that you in the end we had 250 channels. Can you imagine?
Wow.
Thank God I was not involved in that to mix the whole thing. Yeah,
Right.
and then you know that in the end you have to say, okay, now we have to make the trumpets a little bit louder or this, you know. So, and that was also new for them, and also to play on our playbacks, you know.
Right.
That was also not so easy for them. I think for them was the most complicated part, you know. For us it was like, okay, it was like usual. Here we go. And I mean, so, but also for us, it was also a learning process, how to see how they creating atmospheres, you know.
Yeah.
And that was also very, very interesting to work with stuff like that, you know. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and also they was learning also something different. You know?
Sure.
So, and I mean, so I think in the end, the result of the whole album, I'm more than happy with this. You know,
Yeah.
this is like,
Well, now you mentioned the slight adding of maybe a bit of a hip hop or funky atmosphere to the track "Here We Go Again," and I know like the lyrical content of this record is, you know, you talk about environmental concerns and political things. I mean, you know, are you concerned maybe with how divisive the planet is these days, that maybe you might alienate a certain percentage of your fans by coming out with those proverbial guns blazing, Udo?
Yeah, but I mean, it was also when we were sitting together, you know, how we want to do this album, what kind of message we want to have on this album, that we said, okay, there is so many things are wrong in these days. Okay, and when we was writing the lyrics, there was no corona or like what the George Floyd thing going on in America, you know.
Right.
But now it came really up to date, you know.
Yeah.
And the point was to get the message, you know, we are one. That means we are one, and we have to stay together, and we have to, take care of our future, you know, especially for the next generations, you know, that they can still live on this planet. I mean, then so many things are going wrong, political things, wars, you know, and I mean. Also, like, it doesn't matter if you are black, white, yellow, red, or whatever. We are all humans, you know. Only we have to stay together and keep an eye on our planet. I mean, if you see what's happened with all this plastic stuff, what's going on with this all this trash, you know. And also, they burn down the Amazonas wood, you know. And it's like. All that stuff, it's really scary. I mean, the climate is already changing, you know. I mean, I know that also in Germany, this is not like it was before, like having winter, springtime, summer, and fall. it's completely changed, you know.
Yeah.
That's already you can see. And I think we have to take care of this planet, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, I think a lot of people have to think about this, also governments, you know. I mean, especially in Germany, we have this. God, it's Friday for Future. Young people do this every Friday.
Yeah.
Not at the moment about the Corona thing, but the German government, they was, yeah, in a way, was listened and woke up, you know, and they start doing something, you know,
Yeah.
and that was very interesting. That see, you can do something, you know, if you really want to do something. So and. Yeah, that's the whole message on this album. We are one. You know, we have to stay together and take care of our planet.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I think, the important thing is in this world, we're kind of maybe losing the ability to disagree because people are, sanitizing their social media feeds to match their own belief systems. And personally, I don't believe in that. And I like to keep a wide variety of viewpoints on
Oh,
my feed at any given time. But does it bother you that, sometimes when you see such
yeah.
alternative viewpoints, like there's people that are, advocating that climate change isn't real, for instance?
Yeah, some people say, "Well, where's the problem? Everything is fine," you know. No, it's not, you know. And it's like it's the same for some people, not for some. It's a quite a lot of people. They say, "Oh, Corona doesn't exist. It's just a thing from the government. They want to keep us at home and all that stuff." Come on, are they stupid or what? I mean, you know, this is like, hello. Wake
Yeah,
up, you know.
yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bullshit going on with the social medias. You know, they are talking. It's also like for Instagram, all this stuff. You know, oh, you have to use this makeup, you have to do this, you have to do that. It's also like what we have on one song. You know, it's like on Neon Diamonds. You know,
Right.
this song is about all this fucking bullshit what's going on. If you have advertising on TV, you know, you have to look like a model, you have to take this perfume, you have to wear this one, this blah blah blah. Is this the most important thing in the world? I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's just like, yeah.
Yeah. Well, now just really quickly, I think it's important to mention too that the singer that you sing with on Neon Diamond, that is not a symphonic metal singer. That's a singer that kind of is affiliated with the Wind Ensemble, right?
Yeah, I mean, and also now we were using a saxophone on this song, you know, and I really like the voice of Manuela Markowitz.
Right.
Yeah, she's doing normally musical stuff, pop stuff. And she was working with the orchestra before, and maybe when we start thinking, want to do a duet with a female singer, they said from the orchestra, yeah, maybe that fit for this song, and for me it fits perfectly. You know, she has
Yeah.
a really good voice.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, everything. What can I say? Everything fine.
Yeah, yeah. Well, listen, man, I really enjoyed the record "We Are One." It's a really unique spin on the symphonic metal thing using the wind ensemble, and I wish you all the best moving forward with this, man.
Thank you very
It
much.
was a huge pleasure and an honor to chat with you today, Udo. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you very much. And what we always say now, stay healthy. Yeah,
Indeed. Right back at you,
yeah.
sir. All right. Have a good one.
Okay.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. Bye bye.